right. Hello, everybody. I apologize. Me and Moongod were having a very interesting conversation. That's why we're a minute late. But I'm kneeling on the ground right now, so I might turn my camera off eventually because I'll be shifting back and forth because being 40 and sitting on the ground isn't very comfortable. Anyways, how are you doing, Moongod?
I am doing pretty good. I figured we'd have a short off the usual day stream since the end of the month was literally yesterday. I
Yep.
figured it'd be easier for us to just kind of do, the stream today, so we could just include all the numbers for the month and just go over a couple of things regarding some of those numbers and why they're where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So
Cool.
we're gonna try and keep it relatively short and concise. I don't know if Oliver's got any extra questions for me or anything, but I think we'll just.
Uh, I just, I'll have pretty much basic questions like what the community would ask because I just looked at the numbers and just a couple things just popped out at me. So,
Yep. Yeah. So I'll just go over them real quick, just for everybody. So we'll start with the weekly numbers, then we'll go over the monthly numbers, and we'll just kind of go from there.
mhm.
Um, so the Ray Fund for the past week, the Ray Bot side of things. Um, Started the week with $29,096. Ended the week with 29,274 in USDT for a total profit of 178. The profit percentage without compounding was 0.61%. With compounding is 1.32% with a win rate of 24 over 24. So still 100% there, which is great.
Yeah, awesome.
Um, as for the NFT side of things, started the week with 113,245, finished with 113,940. Total profit of 694 for the week. So
Cool.
0.61% without compounding, 0.78 with compounding. Again, same win rate, 24 over 24. So
All right.
relatively exactly kind of what we'd expect. Given the kind of position that we're in. And I'll go over that a little bit further after we finish up the numbers here. As for the Raybot side, for the entire month of April, we started off the month at $28,076, finished the month at $29,274 for a total profit of $1,198.
Mhm.
The percentage profit without compounding was 4.19%. With compounding was 8.85% with 106 over 106 win rate. For the NFT bot, started the month at $109,282. Ended the month at $113,940 for total profit of $4,657. Profit percentage without compounding was 4.18%. After compounding is taken into effect, it was 5.24% with a 106 over 106 win rate. So
Nice.
100% there as well. So absolutely fantastic. Basically, just to kind of answer probably a question that's going to be asked now, like why was the numbers a little bit lower? Pretty much it's because we still have a couple of trades that are still open. So we made an adjustment after we were out of that last big trade to allow us to kind of take more advantage over the movements and the up and downs of the market. So it kind of works on a grid dollar cost average hybrid um, setup, I guess is the best way to kind of word that. And we still have positions that are open. So that's pretty much
Makes
all that
sense.
it is. Um, we closed out a good chunk last time it went over the 3,300 range, and it would be a situation where a good chunk of the rest of these are going to be closed between the 3,450 to 3,600 range, just around there, so to speak, and that'll kind
Okay.
of be the final outbound marker there, just for some of these positions that were opened up in April. So
And
that's kind of about where we're at. The positive with the setup that we're in is that we are no longer just waiting for positions to close out. The bot is opening up small positions even right now as well. So it's not just a one trade, one and done kind of thing. So
Mm.
as the volatility is still kind of going on and things are moving up and down, we're still, opening and closing positions within that setup as well. So even if we kind of stay in about the range that we're in right now, the profits aren't nearly going to be as high as if everything were closed and we could reopen up like brand new things and adjust the grid down a little bit, to kind of take more advantage of where we're kind of at. We're still opening and closing positions, so there's still profit to be gained here versus where it was before, where it was like, hey, we have like one trade, we're looking at one exit point and we can never move beyond that exit point. So
Right.
that's kind of where we're at.
All right.
We're very happy with the position that we're in. We wouldn't have to make any, I guess we'll call them like risk-based adjustments, unless the price goes all the way back down to right around the 2000 to about 2200 range on the
That's
Ethereum
what.
things.
Yeah, that's what I was going to wonder. I was going to ask because Neil, we see your question, by the way. But with the price having gone down pretty significantly, is the bot still doing shorts as much as it was? Because I think you had said that because we're heading into a bull run, you guys were focusing more on longs.
Yeah, so in effect, we're basically kind of opening up smaller grid-based positions, both on the long and the short side, just to kind of take little profits here and there where we can. In effect, though, we still are more focused on the long side of things. We
Okay.
definitely see things moving again more up and to the right than we would on the short side. We've had a couple of short weeks where it would be a situation if we had had more focus on the short side, we would have obviously had more profit. Um, but it's better to stay consistent with what we're doing rather than trying
Right.
to chase a green candle or a red candle
Yeah.
and take advantage of every little thing. So
Right. Right.
yeah, we're more focused still on the long side of things. We don't feel like we're going to have a massive retracement back to kind of where we were towards the middle of last year. We're
Hmm.
still thinking it's going to kind of continue to go up. Again, Ethereum hasn't even hit its all-time highs yet, which I
Right.
think was over $4,000 is where it was hitting those all-time highs. Um, Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong there.
It's like 4,700, I think.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. Like I was
Yeah.
thinking like it was like 4,800, but yeah, I mean it could be,
Yeah.
what you were saying there. So yeah, we're kind of a little bit more focused on, possible all-time highs of the Ethereum side of things. So we're not really trying to open up like these crazy big shorts. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, what that
All right.
basically just means is we're going to end up taking, um, some slightly um, smaller trades, take profit on those, and just kind of have some more trades while that's going on. And then when we kind of move into those periods of higher volatility, we can take a little bit more advantage of like the ups and downs where it's like consistently moving anywhere from like, -5% to +5%, for weeks at a time. And that's really where our bread and butter kind of is, we want it to be in that range where it's just spiking up and down in that, -5%, +5%. So yeah,
Right. Right. All
that's
right.
kind of what we're looking for.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. And Neil is asking, since we were getting 100% wins all the time, would you change these slightly to make them a little bit more risky to get better profit?
No. I know that may sound a little bit counterintuitive to some people, but I'd much rather remain consistent and
Yeah.
even have a slightly lighter month like we did here, than try and, um, like I said, kind of chase candles, so to speak.
Yeah.
Uh, in terms of our process and our setup and the risk that we look at things, we're trying to ensure and maintain that we don't risk any form of liquidation, that we're not running into a position where, um, again, we get stuck in trades perpetually.
Mm.
The last time that we were stuck in that trade, it was very much so a situation where it was like, we missed out on a lot of opportunities. Just
Hmm.
being in the trade that we were in,
Yeah.
and having to slowly work our way out of that trade versus, um, you know, taking the smaller profit, and just allowing the system to do what it does best. So as
Right.
for risk, we're not gonna, ratchet that up. Our goal is, to maintain consistency there. And if
Hmm.
that means that we're doing, a month like, this past month where it was a little bit lighter, but we have other months where it can definitely make up for it in like a 20, 30, 15% range, things like that. It all will balance itself out in the long run as well, too, where again, our end goal is to average around about 7 to 12% every single month.
Right.
That means we're going to have a month like this where we do 4%, because in January and February we did 31% and then 30%. So
Hmm.
it's, we're bound to have a
Yeah.
month that's going to be a little bit lighter, and that's this one. And if we
D-
close out the trades, um, in the month of May, which we're hoping we will, it'll be a case where May is going to have a pretty rock solid month here, where
Cool.
we could see within the first few weeks of May, if it spikes back up to there, we could see 4 or 5% within the first few weeks.
Yeah.
Looking at maybe a 10 to 12% month, for May, which would
Right.
offset a 4% month. Because
Yeah.
4%, 12%, we're looking at an average of 8% there.
Right.
So that's kind of what we're
And
looking at.
and with the settings that you guys have it on, like were those first 2 months of this year, were those the older settings or were those the newer settings
Yeah,
already?
so those were the older settings where
Okay.
we basically were just in one trade. Whereas now we're in, I guess, what we'll call multiple smaller trades that are kind of all happening at the same time.
Hmm.
So this means that we've decreased risk, decreased, having to kind of use certain factors of leverage to be able to kind of compensate for, having one large, massive position open. In effect, here we're taking those smaller trades, dollar cost averaging on a couple of those to allow us to get some better positions, but we're really just kind of letting the system do its own thing as we're waiting for it to kind of go back up. So this is exactly
Right.
kind of where we want to be, where instead of just dollar cost averaging and trying to bring, the highest open position down enough where we can just, offset whatever the loss may be on it. And for those that don't understand what I'm kind of talking about here, the way, kind of like a martingale dollar cost average system works is like, let's say you open up a position at 3,500, take profit for that is 3,650 or whatever. Well,
Hmm.
if it starts to go the other direction and you get down to like 3,300, what you do is you open up a, position going long at 3,300. And what that does is it says, okay, well, your take profit on the 3,300 is now 3,500. And the take profit, as a total to close out of both of these, has now been brought down from like 3,500 for one and 3,650 to the other to like 3610 for the two of them, where it's like, hey, you've hit a take profit point at 3610, and that's where you can close both of the positions out. That's basically the way that it kind of works as it slowly moves its way back down.
Mm.
We've kind of moved out of that a little bit to allow us to be able to just kind of, hey, this one's hit its take profit range. We're just going to close out of that one there. Oh, the price came back down to 2,800. We're going to open up another position right here as well too that will close out at a later point in time. So what it used to be in the past was all of these would just aggregate together, and we weren't able to take profit on some of the positions that were in profit. We had to wait until they hit a high enough point where we could close out everything all at once. Well, we've adjusted the bot to not have to do that anymore. So that's why even in this position here where we still have some of these longs that we're waiting for it to get back up into the 34, 35, 3,600 range, we're
Hmm.
still taking profit. you know we're still
Yeah.
closing
Yeah.
out of positions, we're still opening new positions that are longs, and just Oh, it dropped down to 2,800. Awesome. We're going to open up a long real quick. Its take profit is 3,000. It pops back up to 3,100. Boom. We close it out. The bot closes it out, and we're in the money here. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
All right. Well, so with are like the 20 and 30% months, are those things still a possibility, you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I would say that they're, not something to have as an expectation for every single month.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
eh, those are going to be our outlier months. So those are very much so going to be a situation where we just get really lucky with a lot of volatility. Thing is just moving up and down like crazy. Um, again, that's why we're looking at that 7 to 12%, with like what we would consider really good months being anything above 12% would be like an absolutely rock solid month.
Mhm.
A 20 to 30% month is just stellar. We may
Yeah.
have one of those a year, or
Yeah.
one of those every 2 years or something like that.
Right.
Where it's not going to be like, hey, we're going to hit 8 of those in a year. That is, if that happens, I mean, I would be blown away. We'd be doing like
Yeah.
250% on that year. It'd be insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I'm just thinking long term here. It's good that you guys are setting this up now, because that was what we were talking about, like in stage 3, of like bringing the risk down so low that, like, well, we had so much built up as in the bot, that
yeah,
we only needed to make 2 or 3% a month to still have massive payouts per NFT each year.
correct.
So
And that's the end goal. Is I've kind of done some math on it, and effectively, if at some point in time, the NFT bot got over $100 million in assets that it was trading.
mhm.
If we did anywhere from 1.5% to about 4%, and this is like huge de-risk that we'd be doing at this point in time, which is a good thing.
Mhm.
Um, that would translate to the same thing as doing about 15% every single month at $15 million. That's
Wow.
roughly like the same amount of returns that we're talking about. I think I did the math on like 4% or something like that. Would be the
Yeah.
same thing as doing 15% every month almost. Um, if we had
Yeah.
$50 million. So that's one of the things that we're kind of down the
Yeah.
road. We're looking to get to that point in time where it's like, hey, once we start to kind of move up in that asset under management and the capacity to be able to do so, we're able to pull back the risk the other direction even further than what we do right now, and we go from 7 to 12% a month to like maybe our top end goal is 5% or something like
Mhm. Right,
um
right, yeah. That would be I mean, by the time we get there and we have that many funds in the bot, that would be amazing, because that would just, that's as low risk as you can get.
well, I think, and one of the things to take into consideration is I think it's a very doable process. And just to kind of further expand upon that, this would be something where most people think, oh, wow, $100 million, that's going to be huge, moving the market, everything like that. We're figuring this is probably going to be like maybe 7 to 10 years down the road, we'd hit the $100 million mark.
Mhm,
The goal is within about 5 years to hit that stage 3.
mhm.
Now, obviously, we can make some adjustments based on what NFT holders want us to do. That's definitely something that we can talk
Yeah,
about. But let's assume that we do go that direction of the $100 million goal. Um, this would probably be closer to about that 7 to 10 year range. If we're at about that 10-year range doing that, we assume that the crypto market is going to be probably about 10x the size that it is right now.
I
You know,
mean, how soon are they saying that Bitcoin will be $1 million? I mean,
I-
like, there's speculation that, like, I don't know, it'll happen in under 10 years or something like that. Like,
right.
if that's the case, my God, the crypto market is going to be just, I don't know, exponentially bigger than it is now.
Exactly. And it's something that we're looking at long term, where it's like, even if we're doing, you know, um, trading $100 million or something like that, and we're looking to do those kind of percentages every single month, it would be a case where the market itself would be moving so much more, on a day-to-day basis that it would be like almost impossible to kind of be able to tell that stuff.
Yeah.
And again, this is where we're also talking like institutional money as well too, is expected to kind of come into the not necessarily our ecosystem, but crypto as a whole. And we saw what even the Bitcoin ETFs did for the crypto industry as a whole there, where they're moving billions of dollars worth of crypto on a
Hmm.
daily basis, just like one ETF is, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's crazy the amount of money that kind of comes into play once, for lack of better terms, we're gonna call them the big boys, get
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just looking to, carve out a small chunk. I would never want to have, enough where we're absolutely going to be moving, the markets on some of these central exchanges where,
Yeah.
we're looking to do such crazy returns that we've caught somebody's eye. That's not what we want to have be the case here. What we'd
Right.
love to have be the case here is, fly under the radar to some extent, be able to pay out
Hmm.
people above and beyond, what they'd normally get in their day-to-day job. My goal is for anyone who holds one Prisma NFT to be able to retire, to have that
Hmm.
totally cover the costs of their day-to-day living. Um,
Yeah.
and I hope to be able to get there, relatively quickly, but obviously we have to do that in a careful risk management style.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but that's my end goal. I'd love at a minimum, be doing anywhere from 50 to $70,000 a year. That's USD.
Yeah.
Um, per year for each of those NFTs,
Yeah.
um, within about that 7 to 10 year time frame.
Yeah.
So
So that would, yeah, and I mean, to get to that point, we would need to extend stage two, probably past the 5 or 6 year mark. I mean, we'll see what happens, but
well,
uh,
there's a lot of flexibility in that aspect as well too. Stage three, the end goal of stage three, is to allow us to just put an absolutely massive amount of the funds into the hands and into the pockets of holders of the NFT.
mhm,
With that being said as well too, we can adjust the payout structure at any point in time based on community feedback. So a
yeah,
great example of that could be, we're starting off, what is it, 50 40 10. I think that's what it's going to be, 50 payout.
at the beginning of year two, yeah, it'll
Yeah,
be
50 payout, 40,
50% paid out, yeah, 40 reinvested,
and
10 to the
then 10
team.
to the team. Yeah. um so it could be a situation where we decide at some point in time down the road, that we want to go to like a pseudo stage three, or we adjust the way that stage three works to like a 70 20 10, where 70% gets paid out, 20% gets reinvested, 10% is split between the teams. And that would be a
Yeah,
situation where we go that route. The payouts get bumped up for everybody. you know I don't think anybody's going to be upset about that, but we're still reinvesting. And the
mhm,
positive in that aspect as well is that we could just do that if we wanted to, because the way that the
yeah,
system works, we effectively just put in a contract however we want this payout to be broken up and distributed, and then it gets moved into the distribution contract, based on the funds that are allocated into the payout system. And at that point in time, it basically just fires off the contract, and everybody that's got an NFT just gets automatically airdropped, those funds right into their wallet without having
yeah,
to do anything on their side. And so we
mhm,
could adjust that however we want, basically by just saying, okay, so our distribution contract is going to be our 70 20 10 contract. So we just put all of the funds into the 70 20 10 distribution contract, fire that off. It goes into the various other contracts and or wallets that would be associated there. And
mhm,
then immediately it would fire those off and send out the funds to where they're supposed to go. The next year we could do something where it's like hey, we're going to go into the 90-10 distribution contract or whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
And it pays out like that. So, yeah, it's very flexible, very easy for us to do. Doesn't require a ton of, over the top work. There's no new NFTs that would need to be minted for this. And that's the positive with the way that we set up the system here, is that we can literally just do those things without anyone having to kind of, manually make adjustments on their side. We just want to keep it
Yeah.
as simple as we can for the end user. And so all of it's just going to be handled by us on this side over here.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that the end user would, be responsible for is just making sure that you don't lose your keys to your wallet. Keep
Yeah.
keep that safe.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't lose your wallet.
If you lose access to your NFTs, we can't really help you.
Yeah. I think that kind of pretty much covers it. Some future talk there, some some numbers in there as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Explanation for the the returns so far this month and what we're hoping for in the month of May. Do we have any other questions in the chat?
Still some things, some trades that are open. So next time we do this, do you want to do it on the 1st of June?
Yeah, it'd be around the 1st of June. And I'll kind of, plan the date out for that and everything as well too. We'll see what kind of is going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. The 1st of June is a Saturday, so we would do this on the 4th of June is what we'd be looking at.
All right.
So yeah, that would be. We'd post the weekly numbers, and probably just post the monthly numbers or whatever it is. We'll figure it out when we get there. But yeah, we do the AMA so people can come back and watch it on the 4th of June. Would be the next AMA. The only reason why we adjusted this one is just it was one day, so we just said, we'll just move it.
Yep. And let me see, V2 RayFi. Well, I guess it's just, would this be considered V1 of RayFi? Well, the token.
Yeah, I mean, you can consider it however you want. You can consider it like Prisma V2. It will not have the Prisma V2 name, so I'm just going to put that out there. Please, 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 if you're talking to people about the project, let them know that we've adjusted the name, adjusted the token. It is going to be, under the ticker symbol RayFi. It is not for sale yet. Nobody purchase anything that comes up as RayFi. Anything that's out there that comes up as RayFi is somebody trying to steal your money. I'm just going to tell you that right now. There's nothing we can do to assist you if you buy into another project called RayFi. Don't do it. That's my warning. I guess in theory this will be called RayFi V1. We're still just until we get to the point where RayFi launches, we're still calling it, just RayFi and parentheses Prisma V2, just so there's no confusion for anyone. Because there's a lot of people that I have a feeling that are just going to kind of show up out of nowhere and be like, whoa, where did all these tokens come from? What's happened? I'm circling back around to this project and what's going on with it,
Right.
Yeah. As for the launch date for RayFi, we are still looking at week 3 of May. Callie has got a little bit of time off here at the beginning of May, which is why we're looking at week 3. Cool. Some holidays and some stuff like that, going on right now. So I can't keep him locked up downstairs in the basement the entire time. I've got to let him do some stuff and, enjoy life. So
doesn't he know that he's just supposed to work nonstop?
I know. I tried to tell him that that's all he's supposed to do, but he was like, nah, I need a little bit of time. And I can understand that. The other reason why we're looking at closer to week 3 as well is once code and everything is in place, we want to have more than enough time for people to review it, to go over it. We've got a lot of people that are willing to help us out.
Cool.
At no cost. There are some people that are, are going to have some costs associated with them as well too. And, we are getting re-audited by Solid Proof as well. So there's a lot that's going to be going on, and we want to give people plenty of time. So current goal is week 3 of May. But yeah, I just
Fantastic.
that may or may not be adjusted depending on like audit, code review, things like that. Because we want to make sure that we get this right. You guys have been absolutely more patient than we could ever ask for, and we don't want there to be a V3. So
Yep.
we'd much rather take the extra time, be safe and secure. I know people probably throw some glances and some angry looks at me if we have to kind of move it, but I would absolutely say that we want to make sure that everything is ready and good to go, that it's been reviewed, that we get thumbs up from as many people as we can that are going to be peer reviewing this for us. I think we've got about 5 people that are going to be helping us out. That's not including like Cyril, who we've talked to, and he said that he'd take a look at it once we get everything up and good to go coding wise. So
Cool.
yeah, there's a lot of people that are willing to kind of help us out, and we're really excited for that. And again,
Yeah.
the code will be public on our site as well too, ahead of time. Once it's deployed. So very much so be a situation where anyone within the community that wants to go through and review it would be able to do so as well. I believe we are looking at doing some like bug bounty stuff as well. The team is in communication, internally to kind of see what we can do there, just because we want to make sure that we get as many eyes on this as we possibly can, to make sure that we don't have anything go sideways for us. So yeah.
Right on.
Yep.
Taking all necessary precautions.
Yep. And
All right.
and that's part of the reason why we have to kind of be a little bit slower with this, is that we don't want to, I want to hit the ground running, and the team wants to hit the ground running, and I know the community wants to hit the ground running, and that means that we have to make sure that our shoelaces are tied, and that we don't have, the bottom of our shoe falling off. So,
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Slow and steady and safe is exactly how we want this to be. I've been in crypto for 3 years now. If I had started a project like this or started in a project like this 3 years ago, where would I be now? I would be very happy. So definitely we're starting this the right way, and we're going to keep doing it the right way. So
yeah. And I will say as well, just to kind of give, maybe a little extra and additional excitement for people that are very keen-eyed. I did provide a little bit of extra information in the RayFi Discord, in our main announcements about some of the things that we were looking at and some of the returns that we had so far. So a great example of that is some of the LP farming that we did over a 30-day period, did about 6% returns.
it's nuts.
So it's awesome what we've been able to kind of do there. And some of the numbers that are still kind of, coming our direction here.
Can I just ask, like, what do you guys have I guess it's maybe early, but do you guys have the numbers, like, as what will be in the Ray bot, for the token side?
Yeah.
And like what will be in your other type of investments, like right at the launch?
Yeah. So right out the gate, and we've got to finalize a couple of things, but I believe we are planning on leaving everything in the Ray bot that we can. As we kind of get more people buying in, with the launch of the Prisma V2 / RayFi, I guess we'll just call it RayFi. But as we get the the funds coming in from people buying and selling of RayFi, it'll basically be a situation where all of that will be allocated into the new setup. So that'll pretty much go into like the LP farming, the dollar cost average, the liquid staking, the stablecoin farming, all of that across the board. We want to kind of leave as much as we can in the the Raybot side of things, so that way it can still accrue and accumulate even during months like this. So it'll be a case where it's going to be a little bit of a slow burn at the beginning here, getting everything kind of ramped up and going. But it is going to be a situation where once it really kind of, gets in that positive cycle, it'll be a case where, people are going to see a lot of, payouts kind of come in their direction. We'll get into a very consistent, this is how it's going to work. But in effect, we just don't want to bench our star player, so to speak, is what I'm going to call
Yeah.
it.
Right.
I'm a big
Right.
sports guy, so we want to make sure that, we're not taking a ton of funds away from our star player, to put in other, above average performing things.
Yeah.
When the consistency in those other ones is much, much higher. So, um, just as kind
Gotcha.
of like an example of such, we're expecting the LP farming that we're doing to kind of net us anywhere from about 4 to 8%. The Raybot side is going to be anywhere from about 7 to 12%.
Damn.
Stablecoin farming, liquid staking, dollar cost average, we're figuring is going to be closer to about 0.5 to about 3%, best case scenario every single month. So that's
Wow. Like
kind of,
all those things added up. What's the average you guys are looking at with all that added up, or the
so
range?
that's the range for each set of returns there. So basically, the way that it would work is like if we did 8% in the Raybot, and we did 5% in the LP side of things, and then we did 1%, you would basically just add them all together and take the
Yeah, I
average.
guess it matters how much how they're weighted. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
you.
So as a heads up, the weighting on the Ray fund as a whole, I believe, and I'll have to double check this. I think it's like 40% going into the bot, 30% is going into LP farming, and then I think the last two sets of percentages, like 15% going into like stablecoin slash lending,
Mhm.
and 15% going into like dollar cost average. So it'd be a case where that's like, hey, we're going to buy Ethereum and we're going to liquid stake Ethereum. And that still counts as dollar cost average because you're earning from the liquid staking, but you're just buying and holding Ethereum, and
Okay.
then we can just kind of liquidate whatever the difference is in that process if we want. So an example of that would be like, if Ethereum is $3,000 when we purchased it, um, and it goes up to 3,300, we would just take the $300 out and just sit on the 3,000.
I got you. Okay.
So, yep,
Cool. All righty.
yep,
Well,
yep,
I know everybody's excited about that. So,
yeah,
I guess unless something comes up, the next time we'll do this will be June 4th.
correct, yeah. We obviously we may do something. I don't know how you feel about it. With the launch of RayFi,
Yeah. Of course. I'm here for you
but
whenever you want.
yeah, but the for sure the next AMA associated to like the NFT bot returns, that will be June 4th.
Okay.
Um and I know it'll probably get asked at some point in time. But the first payout would be the first full month after launch. So assuming we
Right,
launch,
right. Yeah.
the third week of May, we would continue to farm the rest of May. We'd farm all of June. First payout would
Mhm.
be July,
Right.
and that would be the way that that would work. So,
Yeah. Makes
yep,
sense. Cool.
yep,
All
yep.
right. Well, thank you everyone for being here, and thank you, Moon God, for taking the time to talk to us. As always, we appreciate it. And
Pleasure's always, guys.
yeah, and we'll be in the discords if you have any more questions. So, thank you, everyone.